Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking at a new edition of a very important book on corruption and the misuse of public office. It's now in a second edition. It's written by Colin, Nicholls, Queen's Counsel, Tim Daniel, Alan Bacarese and John Hatchard. It's this book here from Oxford University Press. More of this in a minute. I've actually reviewed this book in detail before, and it appeared in the Barrister Journal and it's on the web. And therefore what I've done now is I've looked at this book again to see what has changed, because there have been a lot of changes. We've given it the title, Still No Time for Half Measures. It's still out there, and of course it is. That's the problem. What we say is that when we reviewed the first edition, the Bribery Act was a mere proposal, and as Lord Phillips says in his new foreword, the new offences now created raise a host of novel and difficult problems in the global battle against corruption. We'll look at the book in a minute because it's rather different from the previous edition. The book remains, in our view, a highly topical topic. In keeping with many legal books recently published, the authors started off the first edition with a classical reference to the many-headed Hydra. Cut off one head and two appear in its place, just like corruption. And they have repeated it for this new edition. The four authors, I think, are realistic enough to recognise that their taxing labours, unlike those of Hercules, will be important considerations for the future as international society continues to burn out the roots of corruption if it can. The important thing about this book is, as Lord Phillips rightly says, is it fills a large gap in our understanding of the law in this area. And although Lord Phillips has got two different comments in the book itself, which I'll show you, I think both of them are very, very important for the current world that we live in. The authors have extensive experience in handling both criminal and civil aspects of corruption cases, and the current law on corruption, of course, and misuse is clearly stated. And of particular relevance are the examinations of the legal and practical issues relating to the investigation and prosecution of corruption cases. The global connection is never far away, and it's always important to bear in mind what Lord Phillips actually said in the original comments that he made about the fact that the World Bank estimates that 6% of the world's economy was paid in bribes in 2004. I dread to think how high that figure is today, but I would imagine it's probably higher. Anyway, as I say, the global connection is never far away. As Lord Phillips says, yes, it does actually fill the gap. The problem that we've got is that corruption and misuse still remain, but we have some moves, I think, in the right direction with the latest legislation, at least for the new edition, which we've now got. The book itself is very heavy. That's the side of it. It's now running to something approaching 850 pages. There's the index. And the book is different. It's got a much larger number of chapters. You've got the standard paragraph numbering and you've got the footnotes. But the book is much heavier and much more detailed. And I'd like to thank all four authors for a very, very large amount of detailed research into this area, which I think will be of great help to us in this decade of the 21st century. So thank you very much indeed to all concerned. Bye-bye.